justice in the state is an extension of justice in the individual soul. A harmonious society can only be achieved when each individual fulfills their prescribed role in accordance with their nature and abilities. The ideal state is one governed by philosopher-kings, individuals who possess both intellectual acumen and moral integrity. In Plato's magnum opus, The Republic, we are led through the corridors of justice, morality, and the ideal society. At its core lies the quest to understand the nature of justice and the elements that constitute a just society. Central to Plato's vision is the concept of education as a transformative force for the individual and society. The pursuit of knowledge and wisdom leads to enlightenment and liberation from the shadows of ignorance, as illustrated in the allegory of the cave. Through education, individuals ascend from the darkness of illusion to the light of truth, gaining insight into the eternal forms that govern the universe. He also delves into the nature of good and evil, arguing that true virtue lies in the alignment of the soul with the eternal forms of the good. He contends that ignorance is the root cause of human folly and vice, and that only through the pursuit of knowledge and self-awareness can individuals attain true enlightenment and moral excellence. Plato introduces the concept of the tripartite soul, comprising reason, spirit, and desire. He suggests that inner harmony can only be achieved when reason governs over the lower appetites and passions, leading to a life of virtue and inner tranquility. The Republic serves as a testament to the enduring quest for justice, wisdom, and the ideal society. Let's dive deep into the Plato's wisdom and take a key concepts from each book that will help us to understand the essence of his teaching. Book 1. Aging, Love, and the Definitions of Justice. I went down yesterday to the Piraeus with Glaucon, the son of Ariston, that I might offer up my prayers to the goddess, and also because I wanted to see in what manner they would celebrate the festival, which was a new thing. I was delighted with the procession of the inhabitants, but that of the Thracians was equally, if not more, beautiful. Then, Adeimantus, let me ask you whether our guardians ought to be imitators, or rather, has not this question been decided by the rule already laid down that one man can only do one thing well and not many, and that if he attempt many, he will altogether fail of gaining much reputation in any? They will begin by sending out into the country all the inhabitants of the city who are more than 10 years old, and will take possession of their children, who will be unaffected by the habits of their parents. I perceive, I said, that you are vastly amused at having plunged me into such a hopeless discussion, but now hear the parable of the cave as I proceed to unfold it. This entire allegory, I said, you may now append, dear Glaucon, to the previous argument. The prison house is the world of sight, the light of the fire is the sun, and you will not misapprehend me if you interpret the journey upwards to be the ascent of the soul into the intellectual world according to my poor belief, which, at your desire, I have expressed whether rightly or wrongly God knows. But what do you mean by imitating? I replied. If a carpenter makes a bed, and he is a good bed maker, and the bed he makes is good, what is the inference? Shall I say that the bed is the work of God, or of the carpenter? Let me ask you now, how would you arrange goods? Are there not some which we welcome for their own sakes, and independently of their consequences, as, for example, harmless pleasures and enjoyments, which delight us at the time, although nothing follows from them? For when a man consorts with the many, and exhibits to them his poem or other work of art, or the service which he has done the state, making them his judges when he is not obliged, the so-called necessity of Diomede will oblige him to produce whatever they praise. These quotes provide a glimpse into the rich philosophical discourse of the Republic, encompassing themes of justice, education, and the nature of reality as explored by Socrates and his interlocutors. Book 2, Glaucon and Adeimantus' Challenge. I said, my dear Adeimantus, that the manifold and complex pleasures and desires of the body are generally found in children and women and servants, and in the freemen so-called who are of the lowest and more numerous class. Then the child will grow up with the silliest of opinions, for he will have tasted of the sweetest of pleasures from his earliest years, even when he is not yet capable of understanding their nature, and will repeat to himself as he grows older the same things which he heard others say, and he will be delighted at them and will love them. And when he is at the end of the tale, he will recognize that he has received nothing more than the opinion of the man at the door, and that he has not learned the truth about any particular thing, and that he is ignorant of what he does not know. And when he has acquired all these things, he will then imagine that he has become a wise man, and that he is more capable of judging what is right and just than other men. And he will be in reality no better than he was before, for he will have learnt nothing but the art of persuasion, which is a great advantage to him, but not to others. And he will be able to see through the sophistry of others, but he will be unable to see through his own. And now, I said, let us consider the nature of the soul. Is it not true that we distinguish between the rational and irrational parts of the soul, and that the rational part is the ruler, and the irrational part the subject? And do we not distinguish between the soul and the body, and say that the former is immortal, and the latter mortal? But there is also a third part of the soul, is there not, which is separate from the other two, and is the source of all our desires and passions, and is called the irrational part. These quotes shed light on the challenges presented by Glaucon and Adeimantus, as they question Socrates' views on justice and the nature of the soul. The dialogue delves into the complexities of human desires and the pursuit of knowledge. Books 3 and 4. The City and the Soul. Then we must make a city, my good friend, and we shall begin by sending out into the country all the inhabitants of the city who are not good for anything, and by bringing into the city all the inhabitants of the country who are good for something. And when we have made our city, we must consider what is the nature of justice and injustice in the city, and what is the nature of the just and unjust man. And we shall find that the just man is he who has the interests of the whole city at heart, and the unjust man is he who has the interests of himself only at heart. And we shall find that the just man is happy, and the unjust man unhappy, and that the city which is ruled by the just man is happy, and the city which is ruled by the unjust man unhappy. But, my dear friend, we must not be content with the mere appearance of justice. We must seek for the reality. For justice is not a mere outward show, but a virtue of the soul, which is to be cherished and cultivated. And the city which is to be happy must be just, and the soul which is to be happy must be just also. And we must not allow the poets to tell us that justice is the will of the stronger, for this is not true. But we must seek for the truth in ourselves, and in the laws of nature, and in the divine order of the universe. For justice is the bond of society, and without it, there can be no happiness either for the individual or for the state. These quotes explore the relationship between the city and the soul, and the nature of justice within both. They delve into the idea that true justice stems from a harmony between individual and societal interests, and that happiness is derived from living in accordance with this principle. Books V and VI. The Ship of State. And the ship of state, which is our commonwealth, will be steered and guided by the philosopher-kings, who have knowledge of the true and the good. For just as a ship needs a captain who is skilled in navigation to sail safely through stormy seas, so too does our city-state need wise rulers who understand justice and virtue. The philosopher-king is the one who has ascended from the darkness of the cave to the light of truth, and who possesses the wisdom to govern with justice and fairness. But it is not enough for the ruler to be wise. He must also be virtuous, for only then can he lead the people by example and inspire them to follow the path of righteousness. And just as the ship's crew must work together in harmony to navigate the treacherous waters, so too must the citizens of our city-state cooperate for the common good. For a ship without a captain is adrift on the waves, at the mercy of the winds and tides. Likewise, a city without wise leadership is vulnerable to chaos and strife. Therefore, let us entrust the helm of our ship of state to those who are best qualified to steer it, the philosopher-kings, whose love of wisdom and commitment to justice make them worthy leaders. And let us remember that the true measure of a state's greatness is not its wealth or power, but the virtue and wisdom of its rulers. These quotes reflect Plato's allegory of the ship of state, where he compares the governance of a city-state to the navigation of a ship. They emphasize the importance of wise and virtuous leadership in ensuring the well-being and stability of society. Book VII. Allegories of the Sun, Divided Line, and Cave. The sun represents the form of the good, which illuminates all other forms and gives them their truth and value. As the sun is to the visible realm, so the good is to the intelligible realm, providing the source of all knowledge and understanding. The divided line represents the levels of knowledge, ranging from the lowest level of opinion to the highest level of understanding the forms. At the lowest level of the divided line, individuals perceive only shadows and reflections, mistaking them for reality. As one ascends the divided line, they move from the realm of opinion to the realm of knowledge, gradually gaining insight into the true nature of reality. The cave allegory depicts the journey of the soul from ignorance to enlightenment, as individuals are freed from the shackles of illusion and ascend to the realm of the forms. Those who dwell in the cave are prisoners of their own perceptions, unable to see beyond the shadows cast by the fire. But those who escape the cave and behold the true light of the sun are liberated from falsehood and ignorance, attaining genuine wisdom. These quotes highlight Plato's use of allegory to convey philosophical concepts such as the nature of reality, the hierarchy of knowledge, and the path to enlightenment. They symbolize the journey of the soul from ignorance to truth, emphasizing the importance of seeking knowledge and understanding. Books VIII and IX. Plato's 5 regimes. The best city is one ruled by a philosopher-king, where reason governs and justice prevails. The aristocracy, or rule by the best, is the ideal regime, where the wise and virtuous govern for the common good. But as time passes, the aristocracy degenerates into timocracy, where honor and ambition drive the rulers, leading to a love of power and wealth. Timocracy then gives way to oligarchy, where the rich and powerful few dominate the masses, exploiting them for their own gain. Oligarchy breeds democracy, as the oppressed majority seeks to overthrow their oppressors and establish equality and freedom for all. Yet democracy is inherently unstable, prone to demagoguery and tyranny, as the passions of the people overwhelm reason and law. Finally, democracy collapses into tyranny as a charismatic leader arises, promising to restore order and security at the expense of liberty and justice. Thus, the cycle of regimes repeats itself, each regime giving rise to its successor, until a philosopher-king emerges to establish a new aristocracy. These quotes outline his theory of the 5 regimes, depicting the progression from the ideal rule of philosopher-kings to the eventual decline into tyranny. They explore the relationship between governance, virtue, and human nature, reflecting Plato's philosophical insights into the nature of political power and social order. Book 10. Myth of Ear. The myth of Ear recounts the tale of a warrior named Ear who dies in battle and journeys to the afterlife, where he learns about the nature of the soul and the consequences of human actions. Ear witnesses souls choosing their next lives, guided by the principle of cosmic justice that rewards virtue and punishes vice. Some souls choose lives of honor and wisdom, while others choose lives of dishonor and folly, shaping their destinies through their choices. After observing the consequences of their past lives, the souls drink from the river of forgetfulness before reincarnating, unaware of their previous experiences. The myth of Ur serves as a cautionary tale, reminding individuals to live virtuously and to consider the consequences of their actions, both in this life and the next. Through the myth, Plato emphasizes the importance of moral responsibility and the eternal consequences of one's deeds, highlighting the enduring significance of ethical conduct. Ultimately, the myth of Ear underscores the notion that the soul is immortal and accountable for its choices, leading to a deeper understanding of the human condition and the pursuit of wisdom. These quotes illuminate Plato's use of the myth of Ear as a philosophical allegory, exploring themes of justice, morality, and the immortality of the soul. The myth serves as a moral lesson, urging individuals to live virtuously and to contemplate the eternal consequences of their actions.